Hi, excuse me. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope everybody's doing well. I know it's a Monday, everybody's busy, and there was essentially breaking news overnight within our true crime trauma community. So, what we're going to do here today, it's going to be brief, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of information as it pertains to what we found out. And at this point, I have seen that there is some confusion or ambiguity. Was this a real young man, a real 14-year-old, or was this purely a sting operation by a predator prevention group? I I'm not entirely sure. My understanding, as I understood it last night, was that there was a real 14-year-old involved in the state of Oklahoma. And once the information was known, it was given to a predator prevention unit or an independent investigative group of normal citizens that do this, hunting predators online. And then they proceeded from there to gather more information. So, as far as the facts are concerned, those are the facts as I know them. I've not seen anything on a docket sheet. I've not seen a press release, nor have I seen a criminal complaint of any kind. And I'm speaking about by Arctic Fox True Crime, and he has spent 3.5 to 4 years in the child advocacy space for missing and exploited children. So, as this came to a shock to many people in the community, it goes to show that we really don't know who is behind the camera, behind the voice. And online predators, they have no borders, they lurk everywhere. So let's take a look at this from the legal standpoint or the law in the respective locations, because my understanding, again, I am looking at this based on the facts as not facts, the information I received last night is what I'm basing this on. So everything in this presentation is subject to change as more information is made available. So let's go. What happened? Last night, we all became aware that there had been a predator in our midst. A community built around awareness, advocacy, and protecting the dignity of children had a child predator as one of its voices. While the community is in shock and trying to process this information, we must remember that a young person has now had their life disrupted and forever changed by a monster. What is going to happen now? Is there anything that can be done? How does this all work? These are all valid questions to have. In a community that prides itself on true crime, there should be a little bit of detachment to remain objective when discussing these topics. However, when a community finds there's a predator in their own ranks and it involves a child, it does feel deeply personal. So let's go ahead and dive in. Across state lines. The predator allegedly lives in Arkansas, and the child victim allegedly lives in Oklahoma. While Oklahoma's indecent communication with a minor statute apply to this case? Will it apply to this case? Most likely, yes. These laws can apply even if the perpetrator and victim are in different states. When a crime involves communication across state lines, several jurisdictions may have the authority to prosecute. Arkansas jurisdiction. Since the perpetrator is physically located in Arkansas, the state has the power to prosecute under its own laws. Unlawful use of a communication device. It is a crime in Arkansas to knowingly use a communication device to facilitate a felony. And this is going to be important as we get into this. Oklahoma jurisdiction. Oklahoma may also have jurisdiction because the harm or the communications were received there. Let's take a look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma statute title 21 subsection 1040.13a subsection c specifically prevents defendants from using the presence of law enforcement as a legal defense for crimes involving the solicitation of or communication with minors. This section is designed to ensure that internet sextings or undercover operations result in valid prosecutions even when no actual minor was involved in the communication. Implemented on January 1st, 2026, the change was necessary to give greater guidance and eliminate two common forms of defense. The legal impossibility. Defendants cannot argue that a crime was impossible because the minor they were communicating with was actually an adult officer or agent. The law focuses on the defendant's belief and intent rather than the reality of the person on the other end. Presence of law enforcement. The mere fact that the investigation was done or carried out by an undercover operative does not invalidate the potential for charges. What exactly is Statute 21, subsection 1040.13a? To understand Section C of the statute, let's look at it in its entirety or within context. The scope of Section A and B. It is illegal to use technology, phones, computers, apps, etc., to facilitate, encourage, or solicit sexual conduct with a minor or someone believed to be a minor. And that is so important. It's what was in the mind of the perpetrator, the predator. What did they believe? Classification of Section D. A violation is a Class B4 felony effective January 1st, 2026, carrying up to 10 years in prison or a $10,000 fine. So this is why this statute is so very important. Should the information that we have thus far be accurate? Per offense rule, each individual communication counts as a separate offense, allowing for multiple charges from a single investigation. And here are some resource links, and I will provide these in the description as well as on the closing slide. One moment, please. Thank you. Computer use agreements. Many offenders on probation or parole must sign a computer use agreement, consenting to the installation or monitoring software and unannounced searches of their devices to verify compliance, platform-specific bans, and safety zones. HB or House Bill 3889, currently in committee, includes a caveat that includes not otherwise banned social media must disclose their sex offender status. And here is the link for that. So what that essentially means is that if there's not a complete ban on what can be done online, if someone has been convicted and is part of a registry, they must disclose that as part of their profile on any social media platform or social use application as it pertains to the internet. And let's compare some old versus new law classifications. The feature of this is the felony classification. Prior to 2026, it was an unclassified crime and was specific to what was done. Effective January 1st, 2026, it is now a Class B4 felony. Previously, prison terms was up to 10 years. Now it's 0 to 10 years. Maximum fine up to $10,000. It's currently still at up to $10,000. Jury instructions include not required to state time served. However, now you must state the minimum time served and give a percentage of the overall. Supervision is standard parole or probation. Now it's mandatory post-imprisonment supervision if sentenced to 2 or more years. Per offense rule, each communication previously was a separate count. Now each communication is part of the whole. Technology and jurisdiction. In Oklahoma, statute titled 21 subsection 1040.13a, the phrase by use of any technology is defined broadly to ensure that the law covers virtually every form of digital and electronic communication. The law defines technology broadly to include personal devices, phones, computers, internet, network access, IP addresses, websites, media storage, discs, DVDs, tapes, and various audio and visual devices. A catch-all clause further extends this to any electrical, or mechanical device used for communication. And why this is important is the information that was provided that disturbing links were sent to a minor or to whom the alleged perpetrator believed was a minor. Jurisdictional reach and why it matters. Section E clarifies that a person is subject to Oklahoma's jurisdiction simply by accessing a device within the state, regardless of their residency. And there's the relevant links for that. In an interstate case where an offender, let's say, for example, is in Arkansas and communicates with a child victim in, let's say, Oklahoma, extradition is the formal legal process used to bring the perpetrator to Oklahoma to face charges. Both Arkansas and Oklahoma follow the Uniform Criminal Extradition Act. And here are the links to what that exactly is and the steps that are involved with this process. Jurisdiction in the feds. Federal jurisdiction, because the communication crossed state lines, interstate communication, the federal government often has jurisdiction. Project Safe Child. This is a nationwide federal initiative specifically designed to prosecute individuals who exploit or abuse children via the internet, regardless of state lines. Online enticement. Federal laws, such as those involving online enticement of a minor, frequently applies to interstate cases, with several penalties, including mandatory prison time. How or does this even apply? The perpetrator's state, at this time we believe it's Arkansas, can prosecute because the act originated there. The alleged victim, we understand, is in Oklahoma. They can prosecute because the impact was felt there. The federal government can prosecute because the crime involved interstate commerce or telecommunications, the crossing of state lines. State and federal criminal cases primarily differ by jurisdiction. Federal crimes cross state lines or national borders, or are on government property, or involve telecommunications or types of financial services. excuse me, Project Safe Childhood, a nationwide initiative by the Department of Justice to combat child sexual exploitation and abuse, led by U.S. Attorney's offices and the Department of Justice Child Exploitation and Obscenity Section. Excuse me one moment. Obscenity Section. PSC marshals federal, state, and local resources to better locate, apprehend, and prosecute individuals who exploit children via the internet, as well as to identify and rescue victims. For more information about the PSC, you can visit www.justice.gov/PSC. Keeping our kids safe. Even if someone is miles away, like in Arkansas, for example, their actions have real consequences to a child, say in Oklahoma. Our laws are designed to reach across state lines to hold them, the predator, accountable. Good morning, Lilith. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. It takes a village of professionals, from local police to the FBI, working together to bridge the gap between states. The legal system has clear tools, like extradition, to ensure that distance doesn't stop justice from being served. An arrest will be an important first step. The most important part of the process, though, is the child, because behind every case is a young person who needs our support, protection, and to have their voice heard. Marshy's Law of Oklahoma. I've provided the link for that if you want to screen capture this slide in particular. Child victims and witness support. The Victim Bill of Rights. Arkansas Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Oklahoma Internet Crimes Against Children. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, the primary national resource for child exploitation cases. The Cyber Tip Line. Protect Safe Child. We also have the cases. Conway man and woman was sentenced to more than 30 years combined for online enticement of minors from the Justice Department. Oklahoma statutes, Title 21, subsection 1040-.13a, Crimes and Punishments, the Oklahoma Legislature. Westlaw documents, lawjustia.com, the codes for Oklahoma. This information on this slide will point you in the right direction in understanding the process once the abuse has been unmasked, once the predator has been unmasked. Right now, this is all very raw. The information we have is from the Oklahoma Predator Prevention Civilian Task Force or organization operation. We've all seen them online. That's the information we have. I've not been able to find a charging sheet, a docket, a press release, or anything. If anybody has that information, please list it in the comments below. I have for this particular stream, I have allowed links to be added in the event that somebody has that information, so we can all be able to look at it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get going. And as I said, this was impromptu. And if there's any more information, please let me know. You can reach out privately to blank Wendy YT at gmail.com. And that's my email. I'll be more than happy to accept the information that way and continually update it here. I've also done a 2.5 minute vertical synopsis of this that I'm going to load as a short. So anybody who would like to use that for their own presentations or to reference going over the information further, you're more than happy to use it, download it, or what have you. In the meantime, the case of Jessica Mothy went to trial this morning. Today was the first day of trial. That's ongoing. I'm awaiting some updates. And when I know, you all know. So just know that your feelings are valid. We are a very large community, and it does have an impact on us. And we're going to have to work through that because this person was in this community and was a voice for many, many missing children or exploited children. People had faith in him. They put trust in this man. Okay? It's not going to be an easy process to come to terms with that. You're going to be angry. There's going to be grief. You're going to ask yourself questions. Why didn't I see it? Why didn't I know? Or if somebody did know, why didn't anybody say anything? These are all normal. They're all normal. So be there for each other. And if there was a real young man, let's lift him up. Let's continue to do what we do to ensure that no victim is ever left behind or to feel less than. And with that, I will see you all next time. Have a great day.